AL's adventures in Girlyland. Every choice we make has consequences. In my case, a choice of doors had the consequence of a totally new life. My name was Alan Burkhoff, and believe it or not, I was nobody special. A weak boy, who preferred to escape into books. Then, one day, I took a walk into a grove of woods not far from my home. I like the woods, because it is in a valley, so when you get inside, you can feel like you're a long way from anybody else. Then things got really strange. I had found a quiet spot to relax and read, and then suddenly out of nowhere came this girl. She was wearing this very old-style maid's uniform, but that wasn't the strangest part. She had rabbit ears. No, I don't mean like some fake things like Playboy bunnies. I mean she had what looked like honest-to-goodness rabbit ears. She didn't seem to notice me, but went by muttering about being late, and soon was out of sight. Don't ask me why, but I just had to follow her. I went in the direction she had gone, and then saw the second strangest sight of the day. A pair of wooden door frames with doors. One door had the word male on it, the other had the word female on it. To this day I have no idea why I chose the door marked female. Maybe just curiosity, maybe because I tried being male my whole life and didn't feel like I fit. I opened the door, and inside I saw a hallway instead of the woods I expected. I felt drawn and it seemed like a beautiful house. Rich carpet, beautiful paintings on the walls, everything just perfect. Then the woman I had been following came out of her room and asked, "What are you doing here?" I just came in the door. But that's not. Then the woman paused, and did something really weird. She sniffed me. "Oh my," she exclaimed, and then said, "Oh, you poor dear. Come in, get comfortable. I'll get you something to drink." I sat down in a chair, and a few moments later the woman returned with a beautiful crystal glass that had something etched onto it. I drank the sweet liquid, and suddenly felt very sleepy. Just before I passed out I finally made out what had been on the glass. It said, "Drink me." Sometime later, I woke up, and almost immediately realized something was different. I was a girl. What happened to me? The woman said, "Sorry, but I had to do that." Why? It's like this. When the prince of our land was born, there was a prophecy about the woman he would marry. She was to come from another world, your world. To bring the prophecy about, the king had this castle created. It was sealed in such a way that only the woman he was to marry could enter. And you did. But I wasn't a woman. If you hadn't been, you wouldn't have been able to enter this place. I tried to digest that idea. Was that possible? Think about it. Why would you pick the female door? She added. I shook my head, trying to think. Why had I picked the female door? Why did I feel like a weight had been taken off me? I sighed, and said, "Okay, let's for the moment say I believe you, and I had a feminine side. That's not the same as being willing to marry some dude I've never even met." Well, come meet him, and at least see what you think of him. Fine. No promises though. Okay, let's go. She took my hand, and we left the house by a door I hadn't noticed before, and I saw a beautiful countryside that seemed to go on forever. Then the girl whistled, and a large truck came around the corner of the house. In large letters on the front the truck said Caterpillar Transport. The girl opened the door, and I could see in the driver's seat a middle-aged guy with what looked like cat ears and the biggest grin I've ever seen. "Hop on in," he said, cheerfully, and the girl helped me get into the truck. "Hey, Cheese," my companion said, "I thought Hat was supposed to do this run?" "He's gone on strike for a longer tea break," White the man said. "Oh brother," the woman said. "Him and Dor are gonna get themselves fired one day." The truck drove on, but soon we had to slow down as there was a crowd of people crossing the road headed towards what looked like an outdoor stage. "Oh crap," the man said. "I forgot Red was doing another concert today." "What's going on?" I asked. "Red was the first person from our world to go to yours. She landed in the middle of a concert and became so obsessed about the band that she changed her last name to the same name as the band and keeps having concerts where she plays their music," the woman replied. I was about to ask which band when music coming from the stage answered the question for me. I heard the distinctive sound of Freddie Mercury singing "We Are the Champions." "Well, at least she has good taste," I said. The woman shook her head, but the driver grinned at me and then gunned the truck to get through the bottleneck. Eventually, we made our way to a castle. White and I got out, and the driver gave me one last grin and suddenly he were gone. "Where did he go?" I asked. White shrugged and said, "He does that sometimes." "Come on." White led me into the castle and eventually into the throne room. The king was an older man, but still very handsome. Wait, did I just notice a guy was handsome? I thought to myself. He looked us over and said to my companion, "White, is this the girl who came into the house?" "Yes, Your Majesty." He looked at me like he was able to look right into my soul. "Young lady, would you like to take a rest? Or having something to eat?" "Actually, both would be nice." "White, please show our guest to some accommodations." My companion bowed and escorted me out of the throne room. White took me upstairs, into a room that was very beautiful and very, very feminine. It had a large bed with a canopy over it, an ornate dresser with a matching vanity beside it, a small table with a beautiful flower arrangement on it and a chair next to it, and a walk-in closet that had more dresses and shoes than you could shake a stick at. A short while later, two young girls entered the room carrying food which they set at the small table. There was some bread that smelled like it had just come out of the oven, some soup, and a pitcher of some kind of juice. Like the juice, I couldn't place what was in the soup, and even the bread had some kind of spice in it, but all of it tasted better than anything I had eaten back home. After I was finished, the two girls told me that the prince wasn't expected back for a couple of hours. They suggested I get some rest, and I really liked that idea. The two of them helped get undressed and then into a beautiful nightgown, and then they literally tucked me into the bed. I fell asleep in moments. I felt myself being shook, and I woke up to see the two girls smiling at me. "The prince will be here soon. We have just enough time to help you get ready." My sleep had helped me fix my attitude about what was happening to me. Maybe this was some kind of madness, but I wanted to see it through and find out where this adventure went. The twins got me ready in record time, considering how complicated the clothes were, and soon I was being led to an atrium. The prince was in the room, and he wasn't quite what I expected. The best word I can use to describe him would be pretty. He was slender, with long legs and arms that many women would have been jealous of. And his face also had an androgynous, almost elvish look to it, enough so I could easily picture him as able to switch back and forth from male to female at will. Despite this, or maybe because of it, I found him very interesting, if you know what I mean. Some awkward formal introductions later, the twins stepped away to allow the prince to talk to me alone for a while. And the more we talked, the more I realized I liked him as well as found him attractive. He had a musical voice, neither totally male nor totally female but some kind of blend of both. He was smart, funny, and when he complimented me, I believed he meant it. As first dates go, I guess it was pretty good. Not your usual thing, but considering all the crazy stuff that's happened to me since I picked the female door, it could have been worse. We parted, and I went back to my new quarters to think about stuff. The next couple of days were pretty similar. I'd get up, have breakfast, spend time with the prince, and eventually we'd part and I would have the rest of the day to myself. Finally, I realized I liked the prince, but before I could take things further, I would have to tell him about my past as a boy. For our next date, the prince took me to this large park garden that was next to the castle. It was beautiful, but it had some strange artwork, giant-sized versions of children's toys and games. The one I liked the best was a set of giant-sized croquet hoops so large the prince and I could walk under the hoop together and not even have to duck. He had brought a picnic lunch, so as we ate, I told him of my life before I came through the female door and how white had turned me into a girl. Once I was done, he asked me, "And how do you feel about being a girl?" "Actually, I like it. I think it suits me." He smiled and said, "Then that's all that matters. The past is the past." He got a big kiss for that. The next day, he met me at my room and he looked serious. "I am falling for you, I hope you know that," he said. "Well, then, the feeling is getting mutual," I said, smiling. "But just as you shared your past with me, I have something I need to share with you, before you decide if we can be together in a more permanent way." Then he took my hand, and led me to his chambers. They weren't much different from mine, except the bed was plainer, and instead of a vanity he had a small writing desk and beside that a large bookcase full of books. He went up to the bookcase, and pulled on one of the books. I couldn't see the title, but I did notice that the last name of the author was Carroll, whoever that was. There was a click, and the bookcase swung out, and behind it was a small room loaded with dresses, skirts, and all manner of feminine clothes. He began to speak in a low voice, and told me that after his mother died, he found comfort in her clothes, and soon found that he needed to cross-dress every so often, or it would feel like a part of him wasn't being served. "Do you want to be a woman?" I asked. "No. I like being a guy. It's just I like the clothes. I like how they feel, and how I feel when I wear them." "Well, that makes two of us. I have found I like them too. You don't think it's too weird? After all the other things I've seen in this kingdom? No way. Besides, when you care for someone, seeing them happy makes you happy too. So if dresses make you happy, I am sure I won't mind all that much." In fact, as I thought about it, the idea of him dressing up not only wasn't weird, I found it appealing. "Very, very appealing," he sighed, and said, "Thank you. Do you think we're ready to tell my father we'd like to be a couple?" "Absolutely. And if I am not the only one in a wedding dress on my wedding day, I think I wouldn't mind at all." He kissed me, and then we went to the king hand in hand, to tell him the prince had found a princess. "And that, my children, is how I met your father, and why he sometimes looks like a girl. Now, enough story time, it's bedtime."